Stranger Things started off as a cultural phenomenon. Stranger Things started off as a cultural change with the iconic and inspiration behind Wordle. It's been near 10 years, I still don't know what an Eggo waffle is. I know what a waffle is, because I eat waffles. Eggo waffle sounds wrong. Also had more grown adults trying to move their Lego than since we watched Matilda. Was that just me? Flash forward 10 years, holy vacular, it's been 10 years. I feel old. Kind of nostalgic. A little hungry. So after now near enough 10 years, it's getting there, nearly 10 years, we are in the end game now. And you know what you shouldn't really do when you're in the end game? Come up with an idea of a Stranger Things video when it's kind of getting close and you're kind of starting to worry. So let's record this. I'm starting to feel a bit like this. We have also weirdly grown up with these shows, and watching it will kind of be painful, the ending of this show, even though it has kind of slightly outstayed its welcome. Yeah, I should say this will contain spoilers for season 1 till 4. Not really for 5, because not everyone will be watching it. Some people might even be watching it on Christmas. If you want to ruin your Christmas, I suppose you watch soaps in Christmas. Christmas episodes are sad, and New Year's, maybe you're binging it in between that time. I'm doing a massive rewatch kind of thing, so I have season 2, 1, and 3, don't know why I said it in that order, stuck on my head, so most of the references in this will be from that. What if we could save you all from that sad ending and prolong that sad ending with a game? So let's mumble about it, but before that, remember to like and subscribe for future modes and join the babbling horde. Babble, babble, babble. Babble, babble, babble. Ba, 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 ba. So to start off this game, we need to find out what genre this game will be in to kind of pull off things like this. To do this, we have to go back to the 80s. Actually, that's a bit too far. Let's just go back to 2017. What feels like about 10 years ago, but it's actually 8. Is that right maths? I think it's right maths. That's right maths. Where we did get some Stranger Things games. Sadly though, it was inspired by the 80s, so it was pixelated. Yes, it makes sense. And it took the style of the Stranger Things series and adapted it so well into pixel art. And pixel art is also makes some great games, but it wouldn't be my choice. It's great. It's good. It was okay. But would I personally pick this art style for one of the kind of darkest series, what are kind of around kids and horror? Would I go for the pixel art? No, I'd go for more, let's say, traditional route. Oh, also we got a VR game, kind of lanky sequel, but also was based on the 3rd series, so they called it Stranger Things 3. Oof! And they also appeared in Dead by Daylight and Fortnite. The traditional route being first-person survival horror. Could you imagine playing as Mike? That is actually not the greatest characters I think of. I don't like Mike after my rewatch. I'm just going to put that out there. He's not very nice. He seems mean. He's the DM, the leader of the group, but also doesn't do that much DMing and is kind of just controlling. Oh, I don't mean all DMs are like that, though. They push a character into the story. That's what a DM is. I should stop right now. That was a close one. Could you imagine this though? We kind of build up this kind of gruesome creepiness to like 1,000. We start off the game with this kind of animated them playing D&D, and then you just kind of see them as just kids. Side note as well, the trailer would kind of be, it would look like it was originally going to be like a Baldur's Gate 2, no, Baldur's Gate 4, Baldur's Gate 2, Baldur's Gate 4 kind of game, but then it kind of zooms out and it's actually like them playing Dungeons and Dragons. I forgot the word for Dungeons and Dragons for a moment then. Hey, my marketing degree does come in handy sometimes, and that's how the trailer shows this game, what is inspired heavily by D&D, is this horror game instead. After this, Will goes home riding his bike, and then we go through the events of Will disappearing first person as we run away from the Demogorgon. Like in episode 1 of the series, and it could be a horrifying start going from this normal life to these horror elements. Then the gameplay kind of completely shifts depending on who you play as. If you play as one of the youngins, you play these characters that can't really fight until later on in the game or even until the sequels. It's really showing off how they evolve through the gameplay, through what you can do, apart from Elle obviously, who's a little Jedi abilities, but at the beginning of the gameplay she is also weakened as it kindly hurts her. She can't really use her abilities without getting a blood thing, and it looks like it hurts your brain. All the characters and all kind of the gameplay will kind of be inspired by Alien Revenant, whatever that game was called. with a lot of the enemies being near impossible to kill, but obviously they will be able to kill them at the end because that's how the series progressed. I don't think you could do that with Alien. They have these abilities to hurt the kind of enemy, but it's also like to stun so you can run away. This is a stealth game, and stealth is always the best option for this game. Then we go to the older generation. We have our Harpers, we have our Joyces, we have our Bobs, and we have our Murrays. And I think it's Murray is one of my favourite characters in the series because he's quite funny, but I can't remember his name. Is it Murray? It's a conspiracy guy. It's the conspiracy guy at the start of season 2. These characters are still short-handed. If it's anything like the show, the plot armor is much weaker for this game.
Stand aside, worthy adversary. 'Tis but a scratch.
Harper plays like Ethan Winters, more in Resident Evil, I suppose. Joyce does as well. She's a true mother bear with just a freaking axe. Give her the first fight with a Demogorgon. The first time you can hurt the Demogorgon with an axe, but let Joyce do it. It'd be so cool. Kind of like Resident Evil 7 with that Daddy Baker guy. Then we move on to the early midlife crisis group. You have your I'm kind of good with that, but don't tell Steve. You kind of, where would I be if there wasn't a monster apocalypse? Because he was quite creepy at the beginning. And also, I'm kind of a bully. I'm not a bully. I'm kind of a nice guy, but kind of stupid, but make a glorious friendship. And also, I like ice cream. These characters would kind of just play the same as the adults, because how the hell do you change a game that much designed from basically older adults, what could be a bit slower, I suppose, to younger adults? I like to dub them the midlife crisis gang, or the early midlife crisis gang.
Don't try to be heroes. Not today. Okay?
Alongside this as well, I think the kind of episodic type gameplay could work really well with kind of jumping to these different characters. A level could be kind of like an episode kind of thing, but it obviously takes longer. You can't skip it. Maybe you could choose between characters at some points, as it needs that kind of flow of a TV show, as it goes from this kind of mundane life to this horror. Alongside this as well, you could have these elements of D&D. Maybe you can have these special abilities, what are inspired by D&D. They have the same names, but you can only get them maybe if you hit this certain point. Maybe if you use them in one element, you can't use them again, and it kind of makes the game harder for you. Or it's just a timer, because that's probably easier. Before we talk about the story though, can we just go on about one thing about season 1? When, I think it's Joyce, the mother of Will, is kind of going a bit crazy, a bit like, what's happening? We don't know what's happening. Doing a kind of stuff. There are so many people that start to realise what is happening and don't go straight to her. One of them being her son, who is terrible. Terrible. Just hangs around with his new crush, old crush maybe, for way too long without telling his mum. And I think it's Harper who goes to the mum first. It's even worse. The story has to be at its core, this game. We need to see these moments. We need to explore the normal world and stumble into the Upside Down. And see the Upside Down for the first time needs to be as horrifying as it was to see these kids in it. We need to play as Harper as he gets into the building thing with all the bad guys and kind of gets caught. We need to see sadly play as Mike doing stuff. And I really don't understand how Will and Elle do like him. I have a theory that Elle is kind of mean because she only kind of has met mean people. Actually, wasn't my theory, it's Mrs. Mumble's theory. And Will is the only kind of person she's interacted with the most until that point in like season 2-ish. And that's why she's mean, because the only other person she's kind of get along with is another mean person. We need to run away on the bikes from the bad men. We need to see a suit up kind of montage. This all starts with the scene of Will disappearing, and then it evolves from there. It needs to then go kind of slow, like an eerily slow burn like the show did. Going into school with your friend not there. The realization of your friend, son, brother has gone. And I think it's important we see that. Even though we know about that, I think it's important for us to experience that, going from this normal life to quick shift to a nightmare. Through the characters, we see how dangerous now this world is. As through these multiple characters, we kind of go up against the same Demogorgon, as it's kind of this slow fighting towards the end, kind of like the series. Kind of like the season 1, as we only really go up against one Demogorgon throughout the whole of season 1. What is good. It could easily take 8 hours of gameplay to fight this one being though, through different scenes, going through the dark. We also had the bad men to kind of deal with in the season 1 and we kind of defeat but kind of don't throughout season 1. We take Will from the Upside Down, even though we're seeing more glimpses into the time now. We kind of want to see more of Will in the Upside Down early on, and we can't really do that now in the series, even though they're trying, but they could in gameplay. It kind of mirrors the Alien Revenant and that game. I cannot remember off the top of my head, but it's a survival horror game and it could take inspiration from both of them games and other kind of first persons, I suppose, to kind of make this near perfect Stranger Things game. And as something as a horror player myself, holy shit, it could be fun. Alongside this, though, it doesn't have to be shot to shot from the TV show. It has to be made as a game. It needs its own added scenes, its own kind of content, and it kind of needs advisory from the people who made it. Give the full story of Barb's death, as she has become a legend of the series now. Mix the day-to-day with this true nightmare. This game could be like the true director's cut to the original series, with the kids running away from stuff in like that E.T. inspired story, and the grown-ups doing their kind of Deck the Halls, Zodiac, and X-Files type stuff. And then the end of this 8 hours, we get them kind of feeling that they're safe. This is it. We've got the L pointless sacrifice and everyone's sad because of that and Will being saved. The nightmare's over. Also, this could be a good time to kind of expand the story slightly because there are some elements we do not really see, like the Will disappearing bits. I think we are seeing that a bit more now, but it'd be good to see it way earlier and kind of play as him, because the Will horror section as you play in the game could be maybe the most scariest moments. It's going to be your baby Resident Evil moment, maybe. We could literally play as the bad men going in the upside down. We could see Elle do more stuff. Also, alongside this, when I was writing, I realised that Elle's kind of committed a lot of crimes. She's killed a lot of people for someone who's meant to be like really young, like early high school age. And she just I know they're bad people. She's killed a lot of people. We know the lore, and everyone kind of knows the lore already. It might get new people into it, maybe with the game, but these extra bits of context will get the people who watched the series into it more. You get to experience these points of views more details, more extra content to play, and see where things go where we didn't in the series. So at the end of this kind of part of the game, you get the end. You defeat everyone's happy, like in the end of season 1, and then you get the flash. You get the flash of the mind flare. The scene goes black, lock in people, act 2. I argued with myself about whether to do this or not. That's a lie. My experience went a bit more like this.
Vodka.
It's a central nervous system depressant, so yes, with vodka.
Then I thought for some kind of shock value, we basically get the whole Mind Flare arc of Stranger Things would be very exciting. I'm not going to go fully into how they can do this in story and in gameplay because that is 2 seasons of content, what should have been 1. The kind of gist though, everything escalates here. We kind of have to jumpstart the story because I am not following rats for 3 hours. So we have to kind of fast track. We go up against the demigods. Demigorgons? I don't know what they're called. Even though this is still a mysterious game, we kind of need to ramp up the horror early. That means skipping elements in this kind of arc because it does kind of repeat and adds kind of the weakness to the series as it's kind of still slowly gets to it. In like episode 8, I think it kind of gets going when Harper starts to dig, and then through the ending, these characters become stronger. You start playing the kids as the adults, and I think that would be great to kind of feel through gameplay. They're getting into worse places, scarier places, as the teen kind of aka early midlife crisis, and they're not protecting them as much, they're protecting themselves, all leading to the last fight with the mind flare at the end. Actually, the midlife crisis can do technically help. And then sadly with the kind of weirdly repeat of season 1 ending with Harper sacrificing himself. Why does everyone have to sacrifice himself? And then obviously that leads to the next game and you play as Harper on vacation. We obviously know it's not the end because there's 2 seasons of content, even though watching it back it kind of should have been 3, as Wagner should have been introduced at least a season earlier, it feels like, but the pointless chaos energy needed 2 seasons for some reason. However, after watching Critical Role, you kind of understand because I'm currently on campaign 2, episode 114, and if you watch any of this, you know the main villain gets introduced what feels like way too late in this series. Maybe even some of you think about this video like that. Subscribe. Actually, my experience going through each season feels a bit like this.
Hi, Jim.
So we know the next game will start off as Harper's Vacation, kind of like a Wolfenstein type game. And it will go from jumping from the upside down to the normal place to his vacation. It will be quite different compared to the first game because there's so many different locations and the upside down is very red now. And that last stand of Eddie in season 4? Yeah, in season 4, why is everyone dying near the end? Oh, someone's dying on Christmas Boxing Day. Ooh, no. Someone's dying on the episode before. Realization. Anyway, that kind of, it'd be like a Halo Reach type kind of survival thing. Maybe you're hitting them with your guitar and everything, and you slowly die. Yes, he is alive in the next 2 episodes. I doubt it. We kind of got all this now. We know what the first and second game would be, but the biggest change from this would be the kind of story flow. It feels like we need that introduction of the bigger influence of Wagner in the game. Maybe something simple. When something big happens, we get to see his reaction to it. That kind of monologue inspiration from different games where Wagner comments on what is happening. This small element could introduce Wagner so much earlier and have a presence throughout the whole game until you finally meet him in game 2. The game would pay homage to horror games over survival horror games, kind of like Alien, as I mentioned. Until Dawn could even have a little bit, Resident Evil being a massive inspiration, and could all do what Stranger Things kind of does for 80s children. Rather than getting inspiration from Star Wars and all stuff like that, it will get inspiration from horror games, and it'll be that kind of answer to nostalgia kind of horror games through the years. What could be really fun. Horror games are beautiful, and a game like this inspired from horror games, but it takes it from like a thing what also gave so much nostalgia for the 80s and stuff like that, could be such a good tie together. It could be a really perfect game, okay? And a good monster can make these horror games, and I'm personally really excited for that Jurassic Park game, but I haven't saw anything about it in so long, so this video is my coping mechanism. Before we wrap up in our final mumbles, let's talk about who should really develop this game. This will be first person. There is some perfect kind of studios who could pull this off. Bloomer Team, one of the perfect ones what I have in mind. They've kind of that mind for it with Layers of Fear. That's the game I was on about. Layers of Fear. That would be the massive inspiration for this. So Bloomer Team would be kind of the perfect studio for this, but that's an easy perfect pick. They could put them in any horror franchise, even though this would be the perfect pick. Even though maybe even bring back the Alien Revenant team. I don't think I'm saying that name right, but Creative Assembly haven't really done anything like this since, I don't think. It's a weird thing. Netflix and video games don't really mix that well. They have a subscription system, they have that Red Dead Redemption on there now, but would they partner properly with a big studio to make a game? I don't know. I hope so, because they own good IPs for games, but you could see on the games they have actually made, it's all like word crosses, word searches, whatever it's called, and stuff like that. It's cheap shit, and we want like a full AA, AAA type Stranger Things game at least. Generally, I don't really know who makes this game, as I don't really know Netflix's stance on game development. They're going to be maybe getting these studios, but probably not doing anything with them. Saying that, you could do something with them. I don't think the DC studios, whatever they're called, have done any really horror games though. So there's obviously some standouts who could make this game near perfect, and it could sell a lot. So what do you think? Do you like the idea of this game? Who do you think should develop it? Comment below. I will see you on the next Mumble. Remember to subscribe for future Mumbles and join the Babbling Horde. And I will see you on the next Mumble.